you need to guide the conversation, you need to control the conversation, and you need to guide it to a purposeful conclusion. Once you do that, right, you can convince anybody of anything. Now let's talk about that art of conversation. When we do anything in marketing or in branding, we want to be purposeful. If you're new to notary, if you're new to the industry, if you're new to marketing and the concept thereof, and you have 50,000 websites and you've bought different subscriptions and email marketing campaign platforms and this and that, if you don't have a reason for it and you just bought it, chances are you're not leveraging it properly and you're wasting money. So in everything we do, you want to be purposeful with it. Art of conversation is not different. Okay, this is, oh man, this is so good. This is so good, the art of conversation. Like once I learned this piece, my world was open, but my world opened up way more with this knowledge. Okay, this is almost the secret ingredients, secret sauce to the entire thing. Okay, now it goes a lot deeper than what I'm about to tell you, right? Because there's just a lot more to it. This is kind of just the overview, you know, bird's eye view, holistic view of the entire concept. All right, but the art of conversation. Okay, it was an adjustment for me initially. I remember selling rainbow vacuums door to door using a sales script, right? So a sales script wasn't based off of my personality, but it was great for me as a default because I was a young introvert, right? Over time, right, I began to make it more my own and kind of conquer that piece, moved on to Kirby, moved on to other multi-level marketing products. And the goal was to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So the military helped me, but it wasn't until I became a recruiter that things really clicked, right? My instructors taught me the concepts, but I wasn't able to move it into action, right? Until I got my mentor, like I told you about. And he said, you know, your problem is your problem is that you know how to guide the conversation, Hernandez. I said, what? He says, you don't know how to guide the conversation to a purposeful conclusion. And I looked at him and I said, I don't know what you're talking about, sorry. And he says, look, you need to guide the conversation, you need to control the conversation, and you need to guide it to a purposeful conclusion. Once you do that, right, you can convince anybody of anything. And things started clicking because he started showing me what he was talking about. And this was game changing. All right, game changing. So let's dive into this, okay? We'll start with this. When two people are having a conversation, who is in control? All right, think about that a little bit. Picture two people conversation. Picture the last conversation you had. Who was in control and why? How do you know that you were in control? I know they were in control. All right, let that resonate for a second. The answer is the person asking the questions is the one who's in control of the conversation. All right, I'll say that again. The person asking the questions is the one who is in control of the conversation. If you and I are talking about cars and you give me a natural pause, right, I will casually ask you whether you are a cat or dog person. And as soon as you answer me, boom, I've just changed the conversation to a subject of my choosing, which was cats and dogs, okay? So remember, the person asking the question is the one who's in charge of the conversation. And this is a powerful technique, all right? Because think about how you can guide a conversation with that. Imagine the information, right? The information that you'd be able to collect from people. Excuse me. You know, I'll make this clear though. We're not talking about an interrogation, right? You're not talking to somebody and just asking them question after question after question after question. No, you're having a conversation, right? That's what we're talking about. In recruiting, we call this technique gathering blueprint information, right? Which you'll see right there on the screen on the left-hand side, okay? During this little piece right here, we're gathering intelligence, right? We're getting to know things about you, who you are, right? What you're about, what your likes and dislikes, your family, where do they come from, right? Your history, whatever you kind of want to throw out to us, we'll find from you, all right? And we do this Like I do this with people that I intend to enlist, right? Young men and women who I intend to enlist, I'll ask them open-ended fact-finding questions. I don't ask them yes or no questions, right? I want them to talk. So I'll ask them specific things so they can give me elaborated answers. Okay, in the notary loan signing world, those questions could look like, how many notaries do you typically use, right? Or how long have you been an escrow officer? What does it take to become an escrow officer, or whatever you want to ask for information that you're curious about, but that gets them talking and spilling the beans. They're essentially giving you the answers to the test. They're saying, here, use this information to sell me on what you want to sell me, is what they're doing, right? So ask those questions. Now, through that conversation, I'm going to start hitting milestones, right? I'm going to knowing that I can guide the conversation, I'm going to interject specific time points, little milestones where I'm going to change the subject, right, to something purposeful to get information that I want, right? When I'm talking to a kid I'm trying to enlist, and I'll parallel this in the notary side here in a second, but when I'm talking to a kid that I'm trying to enlist, right, I'm going to ask them the blueprint information at the beginning. It's going to be fun. I'm not going to talk about the Army. I'm just kind of, getting a feel for the room kind of thing, right? Then eventually I'm going to ask about their time availability, because I know that at the end of this conversation, I'm going to be asking that young man or young woman, right, to sit down with me to get information about the Army. So I want to have a gauge for what their time availability is in the beginning. That way, towards the end, I know whether they're lying to me or not, right? So I'll ask about their time availability. Hey, man, whoa, wow, so you're a manager here at Target, huh? Man, that's crazy. That must be pretty time consuming. Yeah, it is, this and that. It's a lot of work. Man, do you have any days off? Like, how does that work? Oh yeah, I usually have Thursdays off, but now I've been having Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking, cool, because today's Wednesday, so I know tomorrow's off. So then I'll ask them another question, a follow-up question. Oh, so like tomorrow you're off? Yeah, good, man, you deserve it. And then I won't go for the kill yet. I'll keep talking. Then I'm going to talk to them about their goals and passions. I want to find out what makes them tick. Because again, there's nothing wrong with being a manager at Target or Walmart, etc. But most individuals don't go through high school saying, when I grow up, I want to be the manager of whatever corporation or whatever retail corporation. And maybe some do, but most people don't, right? So there's probably some kind of other passion as well, right? Whether that be sports, whether that be music, whether that be whatever the case may be. And I want to find that out. So I'm going to ask them that, right? I'm going to ask them what their true goals were. If money wasn't an issue, if time wasn't an issue, if whatever wasn't an issue, what would you do? What would you like to do? So on and so forth. And that gives me ammunition for my purpose, which is enlisting them into the military. And at the very end, I'm going to try to close that sale and that appointment, and I'm going to ask them questions, and I'm going to guide that conversation, and I'm going to try to land that appointment, etc., based on the conversation I just had. But all those key little milestones were purposeful in the notary world. Same concept. When you're doing that visit to the office, right, to whatever office, escrow office, etc., on a Friday morning, and I'm having casual conversation. It is casual, and I'm not doing it to be deceitful or conniving, but that doesn't mean I can't be a little purposeful with it, right? So I'm finding out whether they have kids, how old those kids are, what are their biggest passions outside of escrow, right? Outside of their current job, what are their biggest concerns and passions inside the job, right? Hey, what do you look for in a notary? Hey, who's your top notary right now? That way I can stalk them, and I can bribe them and tell them to take me under their wing, or whatever the case may be. But all that conversation, right, can be purposeful, and you can use it to your advantage when you know that you can guide that conversation. Okay, and that whole art piece is just golden, gold.